Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome all of you to today's webinar event, Church Windows webinar event. My name is Joshua, and I'm going to be your presenter today. We're here to talk about handling credit card processing fees in Church Windows accounting. This is an important topic here. It's promptly 2 p.m. here. We're going to get started momentarily. A couple technical things before we do get going on our topic here. We're going to be together for the next 20 minutes or so, maybe less, depending on how long it takes for us to roll through the topic here through the topic. If you have questions, please type those into the questions portion of the webinar control panel. I will do my best to keep an eye on those, repeat those for everyone's benefit, and then see what we can't do to get those questions answered. If you do have questions, all I ask is that you do keep those on topic or on our topic here today, how to handle credit card processing fees. We are only allotted 20 minutes for today, as we do for most of our webinar events. And we do try to keep, be respectful of your time and keep within that time frame. If you have other questions, that may be better suited for a support call to us, or maybe for another webinar event. Please check the free demo webinars or free webinars page, training webinars page on our website for the current list of April events. We are recording today's event, so we will, for our version 21.18.3 version, have this out on our support center page here shortly, within the next couple of days or so probably. We're getting better at that. So if you'd like to revisit that, you may. Certainly, if we go back out to our website and into our support center now, as you'll see, let me introduce my highlighter friend here. So right here under our support center, by simply keying in the word fees, we see right here accounting, how to handle creditor fees. So when we click on that, that takes us to the PDF document and the video of the previous recording that we have for this from an earlier version. So down here's the video, up here's the actual document, or we also have attached the actual document to today's webinar event. If you go to the handouts section there, you'll find the link to the how to handle creditor card fees and creditor fees there. Okay. But again, you can visit a version on version 20 on this or 21. It's exactly the same topic. The document is the one I'm using for the webinar event presentation today. And so you've got lots of opportunities and options to revisit this material should you need to do that. Okay. So let's talk about this for a minute. So the churches nowadays, more and more folks are giving electronically to their churches, whether that's in the form of credit card giving, electronic giving companies such as Vanco Payment Solutions or PayPal or Authorize.net, or there's more and more of these electronic giving companies which are popping up all over the place now. And so, in the end, there's lots of reasons why folks are giving electronically, convenience and church gets its, the funds quicker. And, so there are reasons why it's beneficial to churches to offer this option to their members and their visitors. But oftentimes what comes with these is there are fees associated with that, and that presents some particular challenges as far as Church Windows is concerned, and certainly as it pertains to the donations module. So if we kind of back up a step and we go back into donations, we go back into our donations, enter donations. I have a batch set up here, of electronic giving. It doesn't matter whether you're importing the batches using the import donations function or you're recording them through the enter donations function. The same challenges still lie or occur. And the big challenge here, of course, is there is no way in Church Windows donations to record a negative amount for something like a fee. Okay, there's just no way to do it. It's not coded in the software. It's a real programming or development nightmare process on that, and so we just don't There's no option to actually record these fees through the donations module. And typically we don't want to. You know, we want to be able to give the giver the full credit for the amount that they've actually given to the church. And then, you know, at that point the church is then assessed the fee, not the actual giver. So here we see $1,800 worth of electronic giving transactions. They're all marked as EFT, and that would be true if we were importing from Vanco or going, you know, importing from, you know, import donations, text file, or what have you, or from Vanco. So we would go ahead and record the gift for those electronic gifts on their own as their own separate batch, separate from our regular cash and check offering that we might receive in the church in a plate on Sunday morning, okay, or whatever your services occur, okay. So this is its own separate batch from our regular cash and check offering, okay. This is exclusively electronic, credit card, you know, e-giving, whatever you decide to call it, all on its own. And there's a reason why we're doing that. I'm going to show you that here in just a minute, okay. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to click post and transfer like we would. It says, it's not on a standard posting Sunday date. Do you want to continue? And we'd click yes, okay? So then it's asking us, do we want to print that, okay? So here it is. It's showing up under our transfer donations to accounting as it should, okay? Now, we notice here that when we expand this batch, as the document shows us here, we see that the money based on our default account links here is set up to go into our Huntington Bank checking account or whatever one of our real cash accounts is, okay? The problem with that is the credit card company or Vanco, you know, Payment Solutions or whomever, you know, is giving electronically has already assessed the fee. So the amount that we're actually receiving is not $1,800. It's $1,800 minus the amount of the fees. Okay, that's how much is actually being physically deposited to our actual checking account. So we have to deal with these fees and how they're posted a different way. We've already determined that those amounts can't be recorded through the donations module as a negative amount to make that adjustment before we transfer that into accounting, okay? So this is now where we have to get into our accounting system and set some things up in order to support what we're needing it to do. So we're just going to go ahead and close out of here. We're going to exit out of donations and we're going to jump into accounting here, okay? So as the top of the document shows, the method, the one that shows there, says we need to set up two accounts, okay, to handle the fees, okay? We need an asset and call it something like, you know, credit card holding or electronic giving clearing account or credit card clearing account or something like that as an asset. And then we also need a credit card or, you know, Vanco clearing, you know, fees expense or something like that in our chart of accounts. So we're going to go back into our chart of accounts. We're going to go up to manage accounts, accounts plus minus, asset. And here's our current list of assets. And I'm going to call this one credit card. Let's actually do this. Let's call this e-giving clearing account. Yeah, in the book, the document calls it holding account, but it's essentially serves the same purpose. Okay. Then when we tab down, we're going to have to give it an account number. I'm going to use 110115, and we are going to put it into our current assets and investments. Okay, and we're going to click Add Account. So it now adds that account down here in our current list of existing assets. Without closing the window, we're going to go right up here to Expense. It flips on over. We're going to then choose, I'm not going to choose our Memorial Fund. We're actually going to link this to our General Fund, and we're going to call this one e-giving fees expense. Okay? And same thing, I've settled on a number. I'm going to label that one 410485. And we're going to put that into, say, total administration. Okay? And again, same thing, add account. Okay? So then we're going to go here, and we're done. We've added these necessary or needed accounts that we've got to be able to do what it is we're wanting to do now. Okay? So we don't have to go back over to donations to do this. You might, depending on how your security settings or permissions are set up in Church Windows. but based on ours, we don't have any. We can do this all from accounting now. So we're going to go up to transactions in the top left, right here across the top center to transfer donations. Let me again get out my highlighter right here, transfer donations, okay? And let me get back to my drawing tool here. When we click on that, it opens up our transfer donations to accounting exactly where we left off in our donations module now to do what we need to do. Okay, so again, per the screenshot on the first page of our document, we're going to click the plus sign next to our date, and all we're going to do here is we're just going to change the debit asset. Again, let me get my highlighter right here from my Huntington Bank checking account to my new clearing asset that I've set up in my chart of accounts. Okay, so I click on that, click the down arrow, there's my e-giving clearing. I'm going to do the same thing for my other one. And then what happens is, based on what I have now set up here under my default account links tab, it's just going to revert back to my main Huntington Bank checking account. And next time I have a batch in donations that I'm wanting to transfer, it goes back to those, the accounts under set under the set account defaults or default account links tab automatically. I don't have to change anything, okay? So we're going to still have them credit into the accounts that they're meant to go into, general tithes and offerings and building fund contributions. We're just changing the debit asset where the money's going into, okay? So we're going to just do the post, and we can enter comments here, e-giving transactions, and if you want, and then we're going to click post. It is going into our clearing account and into those other credit accounts, and it tells us where we can go ahead and print that from the posted transfers tab right here. We're not going to do that, okay? So I've now posted that e-giving in through my donations. I've now transferred it into accounting, and I'm ready now to do the work that I need to do in accounting, okay? So when we now go into our chart of accounts here, okay, we now see our e-giving clearing account. When I highlight that and go to the balance tab, it shows clearly I've got an April balance of $1,800 here, okay? That's the amount that I've recorded through donations, but that is not the amount that I've received and that's been deposited into my checking account, okay? So we're going to assume that that's there's a fee that's been assessed on that. It would be a percentage of some kind here. We're going to say it was $30 on the $1,800 that they had assessed on a fee to process that. So what we have to do is we have to get this down to the amount that was received in our cash account and deposited, okay? So that's now then where our expense account comes into play. So now typically we can go up here now to transactions, other, journal entry. We're going to enter the date occurred back to the 8th, which is the day we received it. We're going to choose type in the keyword fees. Here's our e-giving fees expense. We're going to put in the debit amount. Again, folks, I'm just using an arbitrary amount here. And I'm going to post that, and I'm going to, I put in comments of some kind, e-giving fees. And then I click the plus sign. Now I'm going to choose my clearing account asset, okay? And I'm going to do a credit. A credit to the asset reduces its balance. I'm going to put in the same amount, okay? And I'm going to click Done, Add to Batch, okay? So I'm big on this, folks. I'm doing a lot of these accounting and webinars and things like that deal with this. I'm now going to click my Show Running Balance button in the upper right-hand corner. It's now going to then show me the effect that this transaction will have on my accounts. So my e-giving clearing shows $1,800 current balance, a transaction of effect of minus $50. The adjusted balance on the account is $1,750, and my e-giving fees expense was $0. I've debited it, showing that I've actually expensed that money out, and now my adjusted balance is $50, okay? That balance, of course, will continue to grow throughout the year as I continue to add more expenses to that account. Okay, so this transaction is doing exactly what I want it to. If not, I would just go down and I would edit it and put it up here at the top again, make my desired changes, done, add to batch, and review it again. But it's perfect. It's doing exactly what I want, okay? So I can close the recurring balances window, and I'm going to go ahead and post that, okay? Ask me to print. Nah, we're not going to do that today. So step one of the clearing out that account is done, okay? The goal of this purpose is to start the day with a zero balance in my clearing account and end it with a zero balance, okay? Clearing account clears out. So now I could do another journal entry here to move the money from my clearing account into my checking, but I'm going to actually use my transactions and go across the top center to transfer. And here it opens our enter transfers window. I'll do the same thing, backdate it to Monday. My from account will be my clearing asset. The to account will be my Huntington Bank checking. The amount will be $17.50. The remaining balance, my payment method will be EFT. We'll put in, e-giving deposit. There's my comments. Could put in a date too if I want. Again, same thing, clicking done, add to batch. Big on show running balance, click on show running balance, and oh, look at there. The adjusted balance on my clearing account is 0. Now the balance has been moved and shifted into my Huntington Bank checking account exactly as I'm wanting, okay? So that's kind of the nice thing about doing a clearing system such as this, of course, is a receivable system, I guess, is the other way to look at it, is that when the account balance is 0, I've cleared it out properly, okay? If this account still had a remaining balance in it, it would occur to me that I would have done something wrong and I have to go back and revisit what I posted. But again, this is exactly what I'm wanting it to do. And now, when I post this, we're going to close the running balance window and post, okay? And no, we're not going to print it. Clearing account's been cleared out. The $17.50 has been transferred into my checking account. So the deposit per my bank statement that will show up for, the second week of April here should match with the same deposit that shows up on my bank statement, and in my bank reconciliation they should reconcile perfectly, okay? So it's doing it. I've now got full control of this. I've done exactly what I want. I've got the fees expense showing what we incurred as an expense against that, and the deposit matches exactly what my bank statement shows, okay? So that, again, folks, it doesn't matter whether that is comes over from donations. If you're wanting to record, you don't even don donations and you're recording your income into donations, into accounting directly, you could set up something similarly if you're wanting to show the fees as an expense. If not, then you could certainly just enter the income for the amount that you had received and deposited in cash, okay? But you could certainly set up a similar asset clearing account, much like we've done here, even if you're not using Church Windows donations. But the key that folks need to get, that we clear up about this is when folks go into the transfer window, they're unaware that when we click the plus sign next to that date, that you can change those default accounts. And that's why I point out here under my, again, my highlighter says, changes to account links made on this tab are temporary for transfer, okay? So that's why you can change the accounts here and not have to worry about changing anything back, okay? All right, that's our topic for today. Hopefully, I hope folks got a chance to either download or print that linked document that we had here, or if not, you can, of course, go back to the website to get that. I don't see any questions in the questions portion of the webinar here. Let's maybe give folks a little bit of time to get something typed in there, perhaps. Again, folks, please call us if you have any questions or problems with this. We're certainly happy to talk about it with you or talk through it with you. Again, the video of today's event will be out on our support center page sometime within the next few days, maybe sooner. Okay, here's a question. what is the advantage to an e-asset account versus just adjusting the asset directly like stock transfer sale? Well, Lynette, I think if what you're understanding is if you deposited directly the full $1,800 in our example into our checking account, well, the disadvantage of that is that when I go to my bank rec, I've got the deposit, which doesn't add up. I'd show the full $1,800, which that amount doesn't show up on my bank statement. But then I'd have to roll over and find the withdrawal transaction that would represent the fee expense, and have to, and then I'd have to basically search for those transactions that offset one another. This takes care of all of it without impacting my bank rec. So frankly, that's why I would do this, is because this basically makes the bank rec process really, really effortless. The deposits should match exactly. You can certainly go ahead and post the full amount as a deposit and then post your fees and your withdrawals. It just really does oftentimes make that bank reconciliation process with matching up those deposits and those withdrawal transactions a real challenge. Good question. I think I hopefully answered that okay for you. Next question. Seems like your donation of $1,800 would not be reflected as the total donations on the income report, but would be $1,750. That's a great question too. That's a great thing to point out. I could certainly go ahead and debit the income accounts for those amounts if I wanted to. Sure, if you wanted to adjust your treasurer's report and not reflect the income, would like to reflect the income, there's nothing that says you have to post a debit to an expense for the fees. We're just using that as an example. You could definitely debit a $400 account as well for those to the fees to adjust it for your treasurer's report. That choice is up to every church. That's a really great statement. Thank you very much for that. Can you give the link again? Okay, I think, Victoria, what you're asking about is, if you go to the, let's see here, what am I looking at? In the actual handouts link on your webinar control panel, there should be a link to the document. Or if you go into our website again, and we just go to the Support Center page right here, and if I go to right here, search, and type in fees and click search, the very first thing that comes up here is how to handle credit card creditor fees. We use EFT, next question, we use EFT through our bank, and they charge us at the end of the month for all the EFT transactions. I just do a journal entry at the end of the month for the EFT charges. Becky, that's great as long as your bank reconciliation is supports that, and if that's how that handles, again, follow your cash. Definitely, that's all we're doing here, is we're just following our cash. So as long as your deposits work out throughout the course of the month and the fee shows up on your statement once a month as that amount, then by all means, there's nothing wrong with any of the ways that folks have suggested it here or ours, as long as you're happy with what the reports are showing and what Church Windows is reporting for you. Thank you for that. Yes, that's another way to handle that problem. Yeah, again, folks, all of this is about bank reconciliation and keeping with that. Yeah, because it's, again, it's oftentimes if we don't do this, the bank reconciliation is going to be a real challenge, if not impossible. So, okay, good. All right, I don't see any other questions coming in. We hope this event has been helpful for you. All wonderful questions. Thank you very much for those. I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar for everybody. If you do have further questions, please don't hesitate to contact our support staff, or of course you can email us, but we hope to see everyone at another Church Windows webinar event. All right. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.